A great partnership is communicating well. You are in sync. You are going in the same direction. And if that is not happening in your partnership, you're in trouble. As you and I know, nothing just ends after one day. It ends after weeks, months, years of some sort of trail of mistrust, betrayal, trust issues, etc. If you don't want that cataclysmic end, then you need to really talk about it.
Welcome back to Entrepreneur Money Stories. Today we have Tanis Jorge on the show. She is a serial tech entrepreneur and leading advisor on entrepreneurship and building successful co-founder partnerships. Now, this topic was a specific ask from the community. We heard from our listeners, our clients, and our team members that we really needed to have an expert on to talk about how to find and create a successful partnership. So Tanis, she has a ton of experience in startups and in a space where she's been able to co-found, scale, and successfully exit multiple businesses and keep the same partner. I love the way she talks about her partner and how she works with him to create a successful partnership. So here's my conversation with Tanis Jorge. Thank you so much for coming on to Entrepreneur Money Stories. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, this is going to be great. I had to hold myself back because I have so much I want to ask you.
Good. I have so much to offer, I hope.
Yeah. Well, just for the audience, just tell us a little bit about yourself and what your mission in the world is today.
Okay. Yeah. Real quickly, serial tech entrepreneur, been building companies for the last 20 plus years. I've been fortunate to have great success over the, built 4 different companies over the 20 years, and all of them with the same co-founder, which we can talk about in a little bit. But my last company, Trulioo, did recently in 2021 reach a valuation of just shy of $2 billion. So very excited to have been part of that journey, founding that and watching the company rise and grow to what it was. So now I am the author of the Co-Founders Handbook and founder of the Co-Founders Hub. And our mission now is to really support entrepreneurs in what I believe to be one of the greatest assets or the greatest liabilities in their business. And that's their co-founding partnership. So business partnership, co-founder, however you call it, really to uplift them and teach them and show them and guide them through ways that they can build that partnership so that they can succeed in their business.
Thank you for sharing all that. What has been your role versus your co-founder's role in each of the how has that evolved from your original business together to your most recent business? Like, what are each of your roles and how do you guys work together in that?
Yeah, that's a great question because roles can evolve. For us, we really slipped into our roles in our very first business. Stephen was CEO and I was COO. But as you know, in the very early stages of businesses, you wear every hat.
Right.
We just picked a title because you needed something on your business card. So we sort of picked our title. And in the very early stage, like I said, you're doing everything. But one of the things that I've noticed as I've spoken to partnerships that have succeeded and failed, both of those journeys really had either a defined set of expectations and roles or undefined, and you can guess which one ended up leading to failure. Right. Having your quote unquote lane is very beneficial. And oftentimes that falls into one of two things, either your passion or what you're equipped with skill set wise. Mm-hmm. I think for us, we really kept that same role. We slipped into it with each partnership. And I think one of the things we did wrong was we didn't address each role at every business because it does kind of change. And especially our final company, which grew to such a large size, it wasn't the same experience. So again, it is important to try and define and communicate what each person's roles are, and because it might change or it might not.
What are some of the other things that you have seen that create successful partnerships?
Yeah, so I think the first most important is intentionality. oftentimes when we get into a partnership, we're just happy to have another person or a couple people beside us who are excited about the vision and going forward. And we kind of take that partnership and leave it a bit like a set it and forget it thing. I built it, we signed the dotted line, and now we're focused on revenue, building a great product or great service. We're focused on all these elements about the business, and we just leave our partnership and the partnership relationship as something that is just happening. And I think successful partnerships continue to work on the relationship, or at least are very cognitive of that person there beside them. Looking at what are they feeling today? Oh, I noticed they're kind of down. I'm going to take a moment out of my day and be like, hey, John, are you good? You seem quiet today. Remembering we're people and we're going through a really crazy journey, right? The entrepreneurial is a roller coaster ride. So I think the people that really still looked at each other as human beings, that are going through an emotional piece and are there to support, those people really saw a deeper and more trustworthy partnership.
Yeah. We joked a little bit, it's just like a marriage. If we take our partners for granted, whether it be in business or in our marriage or personal relationship or business, we can end up in a really slippery area. Are you married?
I am.
Okay. So do you use a lot of these
not to my co-founder.
Okay. But do you use these strategies at home too?
Yeah, it is. So here's an interesting thing. So I always paralleled it to a marriage, but as I began to speak to partners and hearing different strategies and philosophies, I actually shifted it a little bit. And so here's where I shifted it to. In a marriage, your goal in your relationship is to really serve one another. Is to put each other first. That's the main key goal, and that makes sense in a marriage. But I find in a business partnership, there's an advantage to making the business as the central figure. And then the partners are kind of like, they just got to work. They have to be polite. They got to be nice. But if you can actually turn the business into the center figure where you go, okay, what is right for the business? Then there's certain elements about what comes along in that entrepreneur journey that you're allowed to then not make it personal. And I'm going to give you an example of that. So you have a business partner who comes to the table and says, look, I want my son to work in the business, right? I think my son should fill this management role. And I think if your focus is on ensuring that your partner's happy, you're going to be like, sure, that's important to you. Even though in the back of your mind, you might be thinking, you know what, your son is a deadbeat. He just plays video games all day and smokes weed. Why do we want him in here?
Right.
But if you can say, all right, that's really interesting. Now let's place that and discover, is this the best part for our business? And if you both agree that that will be the milestone that you'll make your decisions on, you might be able to say, oh, gee, we do have this applicant from this job posting who's got a PhD and has got, all this experience. Maybe they're better suited than your son. And if you're mature or your partner's mature and you are both able to do that, you can go, oh, you know what? You're right. That is probably better for the business. And that depersonalizes that situation. So it's a little bit of a twist. Obviously you want to be sensitive to your partner and their needs, but at the same time, that's a great way to start off on the right foot.
I really like that idea because I think as solo business owners, it's a little bit easier to say the business is the priority.
Yeah.
So keeping that same focus with partnerships. So thank you for sharing that. I want to ask about what happens when two partners, their values change, but I guess maybe let's start with finding partners first, right? Okay. So not everyone has somebody that they met early on in their career. They might have met somebody through business that they want to bring in as a partner into the business, or the other way around, they're joining a company as a partner. Mm-hmm. What do we look for? How do we know if it's a good fit? Where do your spidey senses come out?
So the first thing that I tell people do, if you are starting a business and you want to find a business partner, the number one thing you can do is actually look at yourself first, because you need to understand, what do I bring to the table? So the first piece and component is to really do a deep dive and ask yourself questions like, what's my personality style? What is my conflict style? How do I approach optimism or pessimism? What is my life stage? Am I able to commit a ton of time to this? Or do I have to find somebody who can be there full time while I still maintain a job because I have bills to pay and I'm not able to be full time with this? There's a whole series of really, really important internal questions to ask. And then what you see at the end of that is a bird's eye view of these quote unquote gaps. These parts in your life that you go, actually, this might be better suited as a partner than this. So a lot of times people will look at a skill set. Say, just for example, I'm starting a tech company. I don't know tech, so I need a software engineer as my partner. Well, maybe that isn't what you need. Maybe you are super high level, and what you actually need is someone who's detailed or able to execute properly. And you can hire a person to do your software, but you need someone to keep you on track. So there's a whole bunch of stuff. And actually, at the Co-Founders Hub, we are in the middle of creating a masterclass for that really helps people ask all these important questions and then be able to step back and go, okay, here's the list that I need, because it might not be factors that you think you need.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question: is how do we find the list of questions to ask?
It's coming.
Okay, all right, it's coming. All right, good. You'll have to let us know when that.
Well, the book has it too. The book does a big rundown into all those questions as well, and all the different aspects that you need to consider.
And it sounds like even if you're not considering a partnership, those are still good questions to ask yourself, right? I talk a lot about setting intentions, right? Like, let's stop setting goals for the year, but let's set intentions. And we need to think about, what does our life look like? What do we need from our business? It's going to help us hire. It's going to help us promote from our teams. It's going to help us determine what we need in order to be successful this year.
Absolutely. And moving forward in any business, the key component is your ability to communicate. Your ability to communicate to your customers, to your employees, to one another. All of that is so essential. And if you know yourself better, then you know how you communicate, and you can better address how other people accept your message. So all across the board, it's a very, very valuable exercise to take part in.
Have you ever heard yourself saying, I'm not a numbers person? How about, I've never been good with money, so why even bother trying? And this is one of my favorites. My parents, my family, they weren't good with money, and now I don't know how to manage my own money. I want you to imagine what it would feel like to overcome the imposter syndrome and financial insecurities as a female founder. Kickstart Accounting Inc.'s Money Mindset Mastery Program offers a transformative 7-step approach to understanding and mastering your money mindset. Learn to heal your relationship with money. Get a grip on the stories you're telling yourself. Find the practical tools to get off the emotional spending roller coaster and gain confidence in spending in your business. You'll benefit from the perfected reflection strategies for personal growth and self-awareness, access to valuable resources and mentorship, and the opportunity to join an influential community. Take control of your finances and life right now. Go to kickstartaccountinginc.com/courses to learn more about the Money Mindset Mastery Program. I cannot wait to work with you and help you finally master your money mindset. We've done this self-reflection. How do we know we found the right person that meets what we're looking for? I guess we don't even really know what we're working for. I'm picturing, I had a conversation with a friend yesterday who's recently divorced and on dating sites. And she's like, I'm literally just going through trying to figure out what I'm even looking for. And that's what I'm almost picturing in this partnership thing. How do you know what you're looking for?
Yeah. So once you sort of define some key factors, one of the things that I often tell people to do when they're out prospecting and talking to potential partners is to look at what I call PIKE. And it stands for passion, interest, knowledge, and excitement. And there's 4 different ways that you can kind of assess someone's interest in your business partnership, because I think everyone's biggest fear is bringing somebody on board and then they end up just not working. They literally not working. They don't commit fully to the partnership, or they don't end up working on a strong level within the business. And now all of a sudden you've got this person who owns equity and they're not even showing up to work on Friday. So it becomes really important to gauge what is their interest, how is their passion. Like, for example, if I propose a project to partner with somebody on in little ventures, which I do sometimes, what I do is I meet with the people and then I walk away. And I wait for, like, say, an email does an email come in at 2 a.m. going, okay, I can't stop thinking about this. And what if we did this? What if we did that? These are the kind of things, and those people do pop up. But oftentimes, if you're dragging somebody along, then they're not worth your time. So that would be one way of gauging somebody's interest. Like, is this the right person? Because it is a bit of an art form. And you really want to make sure that you're bringing somebody on board who is really vested and very excited to give their life to it.
What are some of the reasons why people look for partnerships? I'm thinking of either we need financial, right? Like we need somebody to invest financially into the business. We don't want to be alone, right? Yeah. So we bring somebody in, or there's synergy between two businesses or two people and their interests. What are some of the reasons that you see that people actually look for a partner?
For sure. Well, I'm going to give you 3 statistics because some studies were done about this. The first statistic is that 35% of people said that the main asset to someone being on board with them is moral support. And I think we all recognize that the journey ahead is going to be wrought with challenges and such. And having that person beside them while they navigate it, they recognize that it could be a lonely endeavor. And so moral support and having someone there in the trenches as you make these decisions is really important. Interestingly, almost the same amount of people actually are really looking for validation on the idea. And so that person gives them the confidence to just get started, which is interesting because it actually doesn't speak to the entire journey. It speaks about that moment in time where it's like, I really feel like I wanted somebody to help me to recognize that what I'm doing is right. And so they jumped in it for that reason. And then the third reason that a lot of people have jumped into a partnership is because they felt obligated to start the company with the person that they talked about the idea with. And the thing about the last 2 is that unfortunately, those are not strong enough reasons to partner with somebody. No. Validate your idea. You don't need to bring somebody on board yet. That is what a lot of people say. So again, it kind of goes back to the due diligence process. Once you've done your own self-assessment, take that assessment and run it against these potential founders and find out, is there a fit here? Do we complement each other? These are are other things that, and what did they bring to the table, and validate their skill set, making sure that they really are, say, a fantastic chef. Get them to cook a meal for you. These kind of things, it's validating and really making sure that that person is the right fit for you. Do your due diligence.
So, Erica, we need to find the right reason we want a partner in the first place. I really appreciate you sharing those stats because when I think of the partnerships who I know of that have not worked, that was very close to the reasons why it didn't work. So.
Yeah, exactly.
What happens if we are in a partnership and our ideas, our intentions, our life changes, right? I mean, God, so much changes year over year. One person gets pregnant, one person has kids, one person wants to move abroad, right? Like, what happens as our life changes? And what if we're not communicating well? How do we stay on course? And then if we're off course, how do we get back on course?
Absolutely. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to say to everybody is whether you're looking for a co-founder or even if you're in a partnership now, the first thing that you need to go do is go check your partnership agreement or go get ready to write your partnership agreement and ensure that you have some sort of system available should somebody need to exit. And it isn't always a bad thing that a partnership needs to end. Like you said, someone may have a major life stage shift and it's like, darn, I really can't build this business anymore. Or they come across a major financial hurdle or a health issue. And it's like, I need to exit this partnership. Sometimes it's for a bad reason, it's a terrible reason, but having that clause in your partnership agreement, whether it's a buy-sell agreement, whether it's an opportunity to do a buyout, because 47% of partnerships end in a buyout. So it's really important that you have written down a way that somebody can exit a partnership that doesn't destroy the company in the end, because that's the most important thing. So that would be definitely a key piece to it.
And then, these are agreements that we need from our attorney, not like LegalZoom.
That's right. Exactly. I mean, you can always work with a template. Again, another thing we're putting together is a list of the clauses that you need to, so you could predefine what that looks like, but always take it to the lawyer in your jurisdiction and make sure that it's properly suited for you and wherever your co-founder is. A lot of times now we're finding there's a lot of partnerships that are in different parts of the world, and they're have different, you have to decide which jurisdiction is your partnership going to be kind of held in, quote unquote, under what laws will it be under, and then really define those with that partnership. But it's an essential, I always say, assume success, but prepare for failure. And this is one of those things in the partnership where I think nobody wants to come in and be like, okay, what are we going to do when we hate each other and we want to get out of this partnership? Like, that's like never anything anyone wants to do, especially in the early stage. You have your honeymoon phase and you're just like, oh, everything's going to be rainbow and unicorn.
Well, it's like a prenup for your business,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Nothing wrong with it. It's actually essential. And it actually gives peace of mind. Think of it as an insurance policy. It's really a valuable asset.
All right. Yeah. I just want to make sure that I was clear about your attorney will ask you the questions. It will help you review it. I hear too many LegalZoom or Rocket Lawyer, whatever that one is, horror stories. So I just wanted to make sure we had that caveat.
Yeah. And if you go through those, it's fine, but just make sure that final draft is run through your lawyer, because again, there may be small things within your situation that need to be tweaked and aren't covered by just a standard document.
Okay. All right. I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, and then I think you talked about how do you stay strong? How do you have a great partnership? And I mentioned it a little bit earlier. Communication is a key focus. So just practically, I tell people that you need to have a daily, weekly, monthly, and annual agenda where you are communicating to your partner what's going on. And so on a daily, it might be just at the end of the day, hey, this is what I did today, so I'm doing tomorrow, whatever, something random. And then at the end of the week, it's a little more robust, right? Here's where we're at today. Next week, we've got this. Some of the team, I came across these challenges this week, which I want to do. Hey, we should probably have a talk about, Mary wants to take maternity leave and, we've got the sales thing coming up. We should schedule this in. And then monthly, it's a sit down. It may be like a half a day where you look at your business model, you look at your vision, you look at a little bit deeper, and just make sure I always can whiteboard it. Whiteboard your life. That's what Stephen and I did. And it was such a massive asset to our communication. And then of course, annually, it's a weekend away. It's a weekend where you're like, we're just going to focus on our year plan. We're going to have some of the tough discussions. Maybe we're going to have honest conversations about where we still see ourselves in this company. Do we want to change roles? Do we want to move in a certain direction in the next period of time and have these deep? Again, we have another really cool masterclass that's coming in. We call it Discovery Session, 50 to 60 questions that we have found that if they were spoken about would have ahead of time, wouldn't have derailed partnerships in the future. So it's really important questions to discuss ahead of time and annually sometimes, just to make sure you're always on the same page and moving that business in the same direction.
Awesome. Have you heard of EOS?
No. I haven't.
Okay. So it's an operating system that I have talked about quite a bit on the show. So long-term listeners have heard me talk about EOS. It is an operating system for entrepreneurs. A big piece of it is meeting cadence, and you do this with your leadership team. Yeah. And it is a weekly or bi-weekly L10. So it's 90 minutes that are set aside every other week where you are talking about the issues list, and the issues might be issues, opportunities, anything that needs to be discussed, kind of clearing the air. Quarterly, at least half day. So when you said half day, I'm like, okay, this is lining up exactly with EOS.
Yeah.
With a pretty set agenda. And then an annual is a full day session where we're talking about our vision, where are we going, 10-year, 5-year, 3-year plans. So everyone is really super clear and on the same page. So if you need another kind of very clear format, I am not a rule follower, but if you don't give me some, like I'm picturing a train, like if you don't put me some railroads, I will go off into Never Never Land. So,
totally.
I'm not alone as a business owner.
No, as structure, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So EOS gives you a little bit of a framework to have those meetings. Now, I'm going to play devil's advocate. My business partner won't commit to these meetings, or when they're there, I don't feel like they're being open, honest, and vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
What do I do?
There's a philosophy that you come into a business partnership with, and you have to understand that together as a team, you're trying to strive for the same end. And transparency, authenticity, vulnerability, all these pieces need to be in your partnership. And it's difficult sometimes because a lot of times I think people don't really realize just how intimate a business partnership is. You can't have these walls between your personal life and even your spiritual life, your professional life. You can't have those walls in between them and try and put them in silos. You actually have to share right into it. So I think a very honest conversation with your business partner that says, I'm feeling like we're struggling. And my concern at the end is that the X amount of dollars that we've invested in this business is in jeopardy. And if we don't figure ourselves out, our business could fall apart. And I don't know about you, but that would be financially destructive to me. And so having this very honest and saying, if we don't sort this out, I foresee the importance of us actually beginning to find a way to dissolve the company. Whether we sell it, we prepare for a sale. But I don't think as founders, we are excellent at the helm, and we need to find another way. So either we sort out where we're at right now, or we together or myself separately will begin the journey of discovering where we can go with this business if we were to dissolve the partnership. And I think oftentimes people don't really realize just how serious it is for one or the other person. Maybe that person's being quiet because they just feel they can't talk to you. You're just really difficult to talk to. So I've just shut up. And so again, it kind of comes back to recognizing that you have to work together intimately and intricately, and looking and going, what am I doing wrong in this partnership? And you have to be mature. You have to let the ego go. And unfortunately, those are two things that are very, very hard. And there's ways to have resentment. Oh, so-and-so's making money, in different ways, but you have to be very truthful and honest. And so start with that conversation. That's the most important thing. Start and be like, I am actually genuinely concerned for the health of this business. And if we don't sort it out, it's over. And then if it continues to happen, well, then you need to start making the steps. Talk to an attorney. Say, listen, I might need to dissolve my partnership and I don't know what that's going to look like. They will give you some guidance, your accountant as well. Get that advice and start to figure out what it is. Because if it is that direction, any preparatory work that you can do ahead of time is very, very valuable.
Today's show is brought to you by Kickstart Accounting, Inc. Are you ready to take control of your finances and pave the way to sustainable profit? Look no further than Kickstart Accounting, Inc., your trusted bookkeeping service since 2015. They've worked with thousands of other business owners, so they understand your unique needs. What really actually sets them apart, though, is that they're entrepreneurs themselves, dedicated to entrepreneurs like you. Kickstart Accounting Inc.'s strategic framework empowers you every step of the way. They will start with their safe and secure onboarding process, use their magic to set up QuickBooks, and provide you with their easy-to-read financial snapshot. Don't forget, you'll have a dedicated team to ensure that your financials are accurate and on time. Don't let bookkeeping overwhelm you. Trust the Kickstart Accounting Inc. team today. Visit kickstartaccountinginc.com to book your discovery call and get started. Is there any defining moment or anything that you can say? Like, I'm picturing people who are like holding on because either ego, right? Like, I don't want to say this relationship failed.
Yeah.
Hanging on for the wrong reasons or because they want to be nice, right? Like just they're being nice and friendly and they don't want to hurt the friendship.
Yeah.
For somebody who's holding on for things to get better. Is there a moment or like a defining thing, right? A piece of advice that we could give them? I'm almost thinking of like trust, right? Is there a moment where trust is broken that we can't come back from, or do we have to wait for that? Like, how do we know when enough is enough?
Well, again, a great partnership is communicating well. You are in sync. You are going in the same direction. And if that is not happening in your partnership, you're in trouble. So the stat is, and this is a really interesting statistic, 92% of failed partnerships can say there was a single event that ended the partnership. And I often, when I would interview people, I would get to a point, especially a failed partnership, I would get to a point where they would say, and then one day, and I knew like, okay, here's where the big drama was. But as you and I know, nothing just ends after one day. It ends after weeks, months, years of some sort of trail of mistrust, betrayal, trust issues, etc. So if you don't want that cataclysmic end, then you need to really talk about it. And I often tell people, go to your pocketbook, sit down, write down, if we had to close the doors right now and go through legal and go through, how much is that going to cost us? And sometimes just one number enough. That's, oh my gosh, this is going to cost us $75,000 to dissolve this company. Are you ready to go through this, or should we just work our stuff out? That's kind of like a really great way to define it. But I mean, if you really feel like the partnership isn't working, most people that I've spoken to said I should have ended it sooner. So take that to heart. If you really know that the partnership is not going to mend itself, begin the process today. Just start it. Again, go talk to professionals, go talk to experts who can guide you through that process and walk you out of it.
You usually know in your gut.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. You do.
All right. In all of your interviews, what was your favorite lesson learned?
Unfortunately, when a partnership dissolves, the friendship's over. I would say very seldom do they ever speak again. And so I often talk to people when they're going to get in partnership with friends. I often say there's friends and then there's business partners. You can be business partner with someone who was your friend, but once you get in business with them, they become your business partner. And there's a whole different set of ways that you need to navigate that. And I would prefer that if you really want that friendship to stay a friendship, don't get in business with your friend. There's plenty of fish in the sea. But acknowledge that statistic that if it fails, you will not be friends anymore. And sometimes that's enough to really do it. But I will tell you, of those people that are in strong partnerships, every single person has said, that person is my rock. That person is one of my dearest relationships that I have in my life, next to like a partner, like a spouse or a child or something like that. It really is up there in one of the most special partnerships and relationships that you can have in your entire life. I know for me, my business partner, Steven, we've shared memories and we've gone through these ups and downs together that there's no comparison to any other relationship out there. And so when we get together, we know each other deeply in and out. And what a special ability to have with another human being. So I say to people, it can be amazing. And it can be one of the greatest gifts you will have in your entire life. So don't dismiss it and fight for it. Fight for it. It's totally worth it.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you saying that. I shared with you before we hit record that my advice to clients is normally don't do it. Keep your business as yours. And I really appreciate you sharing this other perspective and really painting it in a light that can be a really beautiful and successful relationship. So thank you for that.
Yeah, for sure. Because a lot of partnerships are good, but there is a way to make them great. And that's the thing. We're trying to take people from, oh yeah, we got a good partnership, a little blips here and there, and that's fine. But who wants just good, right? There is a way to take that to the next level, which is great. And that's through, again, just more transparency, more openness, really being that person that you can trust. It's like the golden rule, right? Do unto others as you want done unto yourself. Do to them the way you want done to you, and your partnership will grow.
Is there anything that I haven't asked you today that you wish I would have, or you think would be a good closing note?
Entrepreneurship, in my opinion, is at risk. I feel like in today's society, sometimes the desire to strive for your dreams and your goals can be looked down upon by society, saying, oh, you're just greedy, or you're just trying to be whatever. And that worries me, because I actually think that entrepreneurs, innovators, disruptors are the foundation of our world and our economy. And I want to uplift those people, because those are the ones that actually move society forward. The people who say, you know what, I can improve that service, or I can make a better product. And that's how we grow as a world, and both economically, but as well, it's how we strive for that inner dream that's inside of us. And so I really want to encourage all of your entrepreneurs that listen to this and say, you are a vital, vital piece of this planet. And I'm so grateful for every one of them, because I think they're so important. And, I want to just encourage them and say, keep up the good work,
Yes.
go out and fill that dream you have for yourself and your family, and ultimately your community around you. And don't give up. My little piece back to that entrepreneur space is to really support and uplift those who want to do it in a partnership. So, that's what the book is all about. It's all about, here's how you go through these stages and succeed, so that at the end, you have that incredible relationship. And hopefully you build a great business. Maybe it's acquired, or you're ready to build a second one, and you just keep growing. And we all win when entrepreneurs win. So to me, it's about really uplifting everybody who's striving and has this vision for their lives. So I just would say, really take what you're doing to heart and understand that it's so valuable for the world around us.
Thank you for that. Couldn't have said it better myself. That's beautiful. Where can listeners stay in touch with you and learn more about you and get the book?
Yeah, absolutely. So the book is available on any major retailer. So Amazon, Apple, all of those, you can get it in paperback, ebook, audiobook as well. So that's available there. Additionally, you can reach out to me directly at LinkedIn at Tanis Jorge, or Instagram. And then the Co-Founders Hub, you can check back. I don't know, it depends when this is being aired, but those masterclasses are almost ready. We got a little bit left. And there'll be a bunch of other things that are there to help support and guide people through their partnerships, so they can stay intentional and communicate. So check out the cofoundershub.com.
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, Danielle.
In this conversation today, I heard a theme that I want to share with you, and it is communication. And whether you have a business partner, you're married, have employees, have an executive team, I think we can all agree that communication is one of the best tools for success. I shared our system that we use here at Kickstart Accounting Inc., which is EOS. We have an implementer who helps facilitate our L10 meetings, quarterly and annual retreats. And I could not recommend implementing EOS enough. This has been a game changer for our communication here at Kickstart Accounting. If you are curious to hear more about our experience with EOS and want to dive into how you can arm yourself with that framework, I encourage you to go back to listen to episode 64 and 65. We will link it in the show notes so that you have a little bit more information on EOS and how it might aid you in communication. Don't forget that these relationships are so important and valuable. Communicate with one another and prioritize these relationships.